What's going on, Tamers? It's me, Guy, racking his brain, trying to figure out how to beat both Garurumon and Apocalypse with just one deck. And so far it's been... But honestly, that is a story for next week's meta report when we start covering BT15. But today I want to do a quick retrospective of the entire EX05 Animal Colosseum meta as we bring that to a close. That being said, let's take a look at the aggregate of event results, a couple of key takeaways, and see how your favorite deck performed overall. Looking at Animal Colosseum, it felt like we got a lot of animals, but only one really mattered, and that was the dog. Before we hop into the actual results though, I want to talk a little bit about the time period. Speaking of time periods, this one was actually pretty short. The EX series are typically released about halfway through two main set releases, and so as a result, I feel like we didn't get a ton of time to really explore everything this set had to offer. Leading up to the set's release, looking at the cards, I didn't feel like this set was going to make a huge impact, and I honestly could not have been more wrong. Taking a look at the event results, we have data from over 300 events, and here are your top decks. To nobody's surprise, Anubismon is probably at the top. I think it took folks about a week or two to realize how strong this deck was. With the help of Mervamon, Anubismon generates a very huge board very quickly, and many of the followers have Retaliation, which is very problematic for lots of decks. So they either wipe out your board or they wipe out your security in one go, and the following turn he can do the same thing all over again. Garurumon is a bit of an interesting one. This set provided an entirely new X antibody line for him to use, and honestly it is cracked. In the first half of the set, people were simply just playing like blue or purple or a mixture of both Garurumon decks with the new X antibody cards. People soon realized that the level 3 to level 5 for the Garurumon line was so generically good at creating offense as well as discarding cards and cycling through your deck that they decided to just rip out the top end with the Metal Garurumon and added things like Beelzemon or Beelstarmon or pretty much any older purple archetype that saw a benefit from trashing cards either from the hand or to just build up your trash outright. Some of the old titans also managed to keep their relevance in the set, things like Shine Greymon, Mirage Galgamon, War Greymon, as well as Fenrir Lugamon. They've also managed to take top 10 for the set, and that really surprised me. I thought that initially the deck was a little bit too slow. The ace cards were nice, but again, you have to give up memory when you go into overflow. Even though they had destruction effects, your turn would probably end. But that wasn't the case. Fanglongmon, as well as the rest of the David gang, were able to keep pace with some of these really strong decks out there, and honestly, it feels like we still didn't really get to fully explore this set. So once it drops in the West, I'll be interested to see how they pick up the torch and carry it on. Moving down to Beelstarmon, this is a bit of an interesting one. There's a really clear shift if you look at the week-by-week data that all the Garurumon players kind of just shifted over to Beelstar after week 3. Like I said before, people realized how generically good the Garurumon draw engine was, and so they said, well, I can just trash all my 7-cost options, get a free Beelstar, and go really crazy. Honestly, if you're looking at this list, I might take the Garurumon results and also just add in the Beelstar results, because I feel like these were the same people. It's just once they figured out what the stronger deck was, they migrated over to Beelstar. Last little bits here, Bloom Quartz has evolved. They have introduced Quantumon into the deck, where people were trying out before at the end of the previous set. They have now fully integrated Quantumon into the green vegetation cards, and so as a result, Bloom Lord has upgraded. Yeah, honorable mentions go out to Leopardmon. You don't see it on this list here because it only had 10 wins, 1 shy to hit the list alongside Crossheart. But there were lots of ways to build it. I tried out personally the Angoramon cards with it, but I think the more popular build was using the green David cards to get Digimon in play as well as in raising for the next turn. If there's one thing I think you should take away from this set, it's that you should probably keep your eyes on the Garurumon X antibody cards. Just because if you take a look at Garurumon X antibody and you take a look at the Greymon X antibody that get limited to 1, they're very similar. So finally, here are the event results for the entire EX05 Animal Colosseum set for Japan and the rest of Asia. You see the top 10 like I talked about before. Really surprising, some of the more underperforming decks this set. The one that really jumps out to me is Grace Nova. Before the set release, I had really high hopes for this deck, but in practice, it just did not work out very well. It's a little clunky. Like a lot of combo decks, finding your pieces is really tough, especially when it's separated over 2 different colors, and as a result, the deck didn't see a lot of success. At the start of the set, I played a lot of Edamon and Sukamon thanks to the new support from the Metal Edamon card that got released. The one issue that I always came up with was that I had really good defense, but I always had trouble trying to convert that into offense or trying to use that advantage to actually make like offensive pressure. Another deck I was really interested in seeing performing well was Leviamon, and while the Leviamon centric decks themselves didn't do very well, toward the end, like the last 2 weeks, people were starting to slot maybe 1 or 2 copies of Leviamon into the Anubismon decks. And so with that said, dog lovers rejoice, Animal Colosseum is your time to shine. Anyway, it looks like the sun is going down over here, so I need to hurry up and wrap this up. Otherwise, it's going to look like I filmed this in 2 different time zones. Let me know what decks you guys are excited for in EX05's Animal Colosseum in the comments below. I'm going to get out of here. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.